So we are just gonna wait for a few more people. Oh, everybody turned off their cameras. So we are just gonna wait for a few more people to jump on. So if you don't already, grab yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, biscuits if you'd like. And yeah, we will kick this off around about 11:05. For those of you there that have just joined us, so if you click on the chat function at the bottom of the screen, um, and click on the link there that has been sent to everybody, it will take you through to the PSA Pasefika website. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom and click on resources, you'll see the documents there that we'll be talking to today. If you can't see the link, can you please let us know in the chat, and I'll send that through again. But I hope you are all doing well, and it's nice and sunny all the way up in Hamilton. And yeah, it's good to finally be able to engage with everybody from Hamilton. Cool. So while we are waiting, Stella, if I can get you to talk from an organizer perspective around some of the things that our organizers are currently talking to agencies about in terms of the COVID stuff, please.
I suppose you may have recently had the COVID-19 newsletter that was sent out to you, and I guess at the beginning of lockdown, everything was just so fluid with regards to what it meant to be an essential worker and a non-essential worker, and how we and employers interpreted the government's guidelines around, what those meanings were around essential and non-essential. Across government, what ultimately happened in most organisations is that they pretty much went into lockdown mode and had very limited kind of essential workers. And some of those big organisations like Ministry of Justice and MSD and Corrections, they probably had, that's probably where they were doing most of the background work to support the government's initiatives around wage subsidy and all these things that the government was putting out to help workers, employers and the economy. And other organisations was pretty much lockdown and work from home where you can. Where you couldn't work from home, you continued to be paid. It was just the situation that you ended up being in because of the type of occupational group that you're in, or the systems, the IT systems or IT resource didn't support you to be able to work from home. And so there was a variety of kind of arrangements that existed at the beginning of lockdown. Within our NGO sector, I think that's where the real difficulty was, because in that sector you have people who are working in close proximity to their clients, disabled people, people with mental health issues, people that they go into people's homes and support them with cleaning and all sorts of day-to-day activities that we kind of take advantage of. And the issue, and then the really big issue in there was around PPE. And what the government was saying about PPE and the allocation and how that was being managed from a user's perspective, I guess, with regards to the engagement with DHBs and being able to access that PPE. So there were varying kind of, I guess, varying scenarios from one employer to another with regards to how our members were accessing PPE, how those employers were interacting with the DHBs to be able to get PPE. So that was a big issue and continues to be a really big issue. And, as you can imagine, we have people who are going into other people's homes and therefore going into other people's bubbles. We had people in that sector who actually sacrificed their own families to not go home, which is pretty significant because they didn't want to go home because it meant that they could contaminate their own bubbles. And so it was better for them to stay in their workplace and look after the person that they're responsible for. So yeah, you know, I mean, it was hard for all of us, but not to see your family over that time would be really hard and quite a sacrifice, which just kind of demonstrates how amazing our people are when it comes to caring for others. The DHBs, they had their own issues, and again, some of that would have been around PPE, but it was just so fluid at the beginning, and our response had to be really quick, and we had to kind of get on to interpreting and pushing and challenging, and just kind of, you know, the ultimate outcome we were looking for was making sure that our people were safe. So things have calmed down quite a bit now, and I guess what's in that space at the moment is around the State Services Commission putting out guidelines around bargaining, and what does that mean for organisations that we're currently bargaining in, and that because they've kind of put out some guidelines around wage freezes, and ultimately for those above 100k, they get nothing. The lower paid, the focus being on the lower paid and the gender and ethnic pay gap type groups, and that. So again, it comes down to, well, what does that actually mean? And so work in that space happening, and also the whole kind of health and safety space continues to be an issue, and moving from level 3 to level 2. What does that mean for those who are immune compromised, 70 plus, that sort of stuff, and that. So yeah, and some organisations, they're opening up and using a bit of a percentage. It ranges from 20% to 50% capacity, and some organisations are doing risk assessments for each of their buildings to determine what the risks would be for people returning and how to mitigate those risks and that. So yeah, I mean, our work continues in that organising space to be able to make sure that our members are safe to be able to go to work on a day-to-day basis.
Cool, thanks heaps for that, Stella. Welcome to everybody there that has just joined us. So just in case you're thinking the Fono has started, we are just about to kick it off. So I've just pasted a link as I'm talking to you for those of you there that have just joined us. So if you move your mouse down to the chat function there at the bottom of the screen and click on chat, you will see that there's a link in there. If you can click on that link, it will take you through to the PSA Pasefika Network website, and then if you scroll all the way down to the resources tab, then it will show you all the documents we are currently, or we will be talking about today. So yes, might as well kick it off. So no ia e Māori, kia rana tātou kātou toi te aroa mātou te atua, malo e lelei, ia malo le soifua mau, ma le langi e mama. Welcome everybody to our second regional Fono that we've held in Hamilton. It is good to see that we are able to get more people engaged with our network from Hamilton, and we hope that we are able to continue building on that. So for those of you there that don't know me, Malo Lava, my name is Urualo Whainga Mareko, and I am one of the co-conveners for the PSA Pasefika Network. I am currently I'm a national delegate within the Ministry of Justice. So how we are going to quickly play out this first part is that I'll get the other panelists to introduce themselves. So we'll go Brian, Stella, Seal, and then we'll hand it over to Brian. So Brian, if I can get you to introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, everyone. Brian Palalangi, the other co-convener for the Committee Pasefika within the New Zealand Public Service Association. Currently a workplace delegate with the New Zealand Transport Agency based in Auckland. So looking forward to our Zoom conference this morning, and welcome to Alert Level 2.
Oh yes, that's right. Apologies, team. Brian, if you can open up our funnel with prayer, please.
Since, if I could just take a little bit of time, since Jennifer, since you're on the line, well, could you enable Jennifer? I'd like to invite Jennifer to offer our opening prayer, if that's okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for that, Brian. And Jennifer, over to you.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's an honor to pray for each and every one of us today. So let's just use this time to connect with the giver of life and peace in such a difficult time. Let us pray. Father, we just want to thank you for bringing us together today. That even though we're in different parts of the country, but thank you for the wisdom and the knowledge you've given people with the technology that we're able to connect. We ask, Father, that you go before and after us today. We ask, Papa, that you keep us safe and protected, and that you are the giver of life and knowledge, the beginning and the end. We ask, Lord, that you give us the wisdom to facilitate and to conduct this meeting, that we begin with love, peace, and kindness, and we end with your grace and mercy. We ask that come the time when we depart, Father God, that you will give us, keep us protected with the precious blood of Jesus. Bless all the panelists today, and also Bronte, who is trying to facilitate and organize everything for this meeting. Bless all the participants and the attendees for this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray, amen and amen.
Amen.
Amen. Whawhai te le lava lo awhionga fui maono for our prayer this morning. So yeah, if I can get Stella to introduce herself, and then we'll go through to Seal and then Bronte.
Kia ora koutou katoa e te aroa mātou o te toa. My name is Stella Cherokee. I'm a PSA organiser based in Wellington. I work in the public service, and I also work in the community public services sector and the NGOs. I'm also proud to say that I'm the only female Pasefika union organiser at the PSA. We have other Pasefika union organisers, but they're all men. And so I would welcome any woman on here today who are thinking about their participation in the union movement and the work that you do. If there is any interest in that, we're looking, we're always on the lookout for good, strong Pacific women to be part of our PSA Whānau. So happy to be here today and looking forward to the engagement with everybody from the Tron.
Cool, thank you for that, Stella. Moving through to Seal.
Tarofa lava malos with former langi ma. My name is Seal Pasfika. I've been with the union movement for 12 years, spanning across 3 different unions. I'm now with the PSA, been with the PSA since June last year, 2019. And I'm looking forward to making inroads with the Pasfika network in this space. So yeah, that's me. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Seal. Sorry, guys, he's a bit camera shy. And then moving over to Bronte.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. So yeah, I'm Bronte. I'm from the PSA comms team, where I am our digital communications advisor. So I do stuff on things like what's on the website and our social media posts, and of course helping with techie stuff like Zoom. So for those of you that haven't used a Zoom webinar, I'll just quickly run you through some of the functions just so it all seems a bit familiar, because you may have been in Zoom meetings where everyone can see everyone and hear everyone, but for a Zoom webinar you can only see the hosts and the panelists if we choose to be seen, like right now. So as you can see, we've got our hosts Uru and Brian for the most part filling our screens at the moment. So regarding the audience functions of what we have, if you look at the bottom of the Zoom screen, if you're on a PC or like laptop, you'll see that you've got audio settings on the far left. In the center, there's 3 options. Chat, that was a terrible 3 options: chat, raise hand, Q&A, and on the far right is leave meeting. If you're on a smartphone, the same buttons should be around, but they might be hiding in different spots. Just try to press anything except the leave meeting one, but you can join back in easily as well, so it's not the end of the world. So for audio video, if the audio and video stuff, if for some reason there's been a mistake in the settings and you're able to activate your video, just please keep it off. And regarding audio, you're all muted at the moment. However, as we know, with how we let Jennifer speak before to do our lovely prayer. Thank you for that, Jennifer. So while you're all muted, depending on how things play out, we can invite you to speak. In which case, you should get a pop-up screen on your just this little pop-up on your screen saying the host would like to unmute your microphone. So nice and straightforward. If you click the chat button in the center of the screen, it opens the in-meeting chat. So this allows you to send messages to the host, to the panelists, and to all the attendees. So throughout the Fono, maybe try to limit your chat to relevant content if possible, because I know while I was left some like links to the Pasefika page in the chat, and there may be some sharing in there, so there could be some relevant things in there. So things don't get too hidden. Just if like someone makes an error, post something to correct them. That's fine. Or if you have a note that's relevant to what's being spoken about. But apart from that, try to keep it not too busy. And if you have questions, then that's what the Q&A window is for. So the Q&A window allows you to ask questions to the host and panelists, and they can either reply via writing a message, or we can answer your questions live. So because we can't tell in advance what questions you may or may not have, we can't necessarily predict exactly how we'll tackle them. But in general, it's just good practice to double check that in the if you've got a question and you go to the Q&A, have a quick read through what's already there, just in case your question is already there. And if you are writing a question as well, try to be super succinct. Because it can be difficult if you're trying to talk to everyone and you've got a big long question that's a whole bunch of sentences. Then there's also the raise your hand function. So far, I don't think we've really used this one much, but so basically just avoid using it unless you're instructed to, just because for a raise your hand function, it doesn't actually give the panelists or the hosts that much of an alert. So sometimes you have to go looking to find out if anyone's raised their hand. So unless it's invited, just leave it. But equally, if you do push raise your hand, it's not going to cause any problems. And last of all, just be patient. So this is our second one of these Fonos, but we're still getting used to new technology and new ways of doing things. So yeah, bear with us if there's any problems. We apologize. I hope you all have a really good time.
Cool. Thank you very much, Bronte, for that. So at this time, I'd like to ask Brian to talk to us about what the PSA Pasefika Network is. Just in case we have a few newbies that don't actually know what it is the PSA Pasefika Network is within the PSA structure, but also the work we have been working on. Thank you, Brian.
Cool, thanks, Wano. So again, welcome everyone to our Zoom conference call this morning. And I guess we've been, as a Committee Pasefika, on a bit of a journey for a wee while, with the genesis of the committee commencing quite a while ago, at least 10, 15 years ago. So, but in the last possibly two and a half years, the work of the committee has certainly ramped up, and the presence of the committee has certainly become more defined. So the Pasefika committee came together with through our national and regional Fono, and a group of like-minded individuals within the New Zealand Public Service Association, who are all Pasefika by descent, decided, yes, I'd like to put my hand up to become involved in work that would benefit our Pasefika members, but ultimately that work leading to benefits within the community, and of course within the wider base of New Zealand as a country. So from that willingness to do this work, there were several working parties brought together. And you'll hear today presentations of strategies that had been cobbled together over much time, and some would say blood, sweat and tears, to get it into a shape which was then taken to a national Fono held in June last year to get endorsement from the Pasefika membership within the PSA. So Community Pasefika is a recognised network of the New Zealand Public Service Association. It currently has on record approximately 5,000 members who identify as Pasefika. Now, one of the work streams that allows us to get the numbers that we have now was based on membership data. And if you remember at the time previously, the only indication we knew of that you were Pasefika is if you ticked it on a box. Now that information only remained on that piece of paper. Since then, there have been initiatives, just most recently, an initiative to improve that data collection is now those who identify as Pasefika. And how do you identify as Pasefika? You go into My PSA within the PSA website and you indicate that you are of Pasefika descent, and you'll automatically be picked up in the Pasefika data that we hold. And so, as I say, these working parties came together over a period of time and developed strategies to provide a basis for the key pieces of work that affect our Pasefika members at the time when the snapshot in time was taken, which, as I say, was around 24 odd months ago. And so this work has been developed and refined to the point where we're at now. The network is supported by two PSA organisers, and these organisers, bear in mind, do the work voluntarily, i.e. the work that they do to support the network is bolted on to their everyday duties. More so, the work that the committee members have been doing on the working parties is all voluntary as well. Again, that's bolted on to the everyday work that they do. So it's a lot of love and effort that has gone into shaping these strategies. And so, as I say, this is the second opportunity we've had to engage with the Pasefika community in the mighty Waikato area. And so it won't be the last, because we're looking to strengthen our base. At the moment, predominantly by the numbers, the base strength of the network is in Auckland and Wellington. And so in the early part of the raising awareness was focused on those two areas where the strength of numbers lay. That is now broadened to pick up the Waikato area, and also interest being shown in the Christchurch area. So there is only one way to go, and that's up, and to maintain that that course that we're heading on. So as I say, you will hear presentations today of the strategies that were endorsed by the through the National Fono that was held in June last year. And today's meeting allows for an opportunity to do a bit more work around reaching out, but more importantly, connecting with our members in your part of the region.
Cool, thanks heaps for that, Brian. So that's a broad overview of our network and some of the things that we have been doing. So if I can get everybody to please click on Pasefika Network Strategy. If you have just joined, there should be a link in the chat function where you are able to click on it, and it will take you through to the PSA Pasefika website. And if you scroll down to the bottom where it says resources tab, you'll find the documents we are talking about there. So yes, if everybody can click on the Pasefika Network strategy documents. So the strategy stream of the working party was created so that we were able to take a look at our current network structure, to take a look at our vision, but also take a look at the mission statement that our previous predecessors had developed, and take a look at how we can either reshape it, but still keep the same essence there that was intended back then. So if you take a look at the purpose of that paper, it has it listed down there, but then you will also see in the second document where when we come to it that it's expanded a bit more in terms of the vision, the growth, what it looks like in terms of representing Pacific workers and all of that. And so we will go through that in that second document. So one of the key things there that we had to work on in the strategy working party was around our structure. And so we wanted to take a look, because those who were on it at the time were in varied spaces in terms of the PSA structures. So you had some who were on sector committees, you had others who were on network committees, and so based on that, we were able to create the structure there that it should be in front of you, which is one female co-convener, one male co-convener. I'm a secretary, a treasurer, I'm a women's representative, because we are fortunate enough to have three lovely ladies currently who sit on the Women's Network Committee. So you have Jennifer Laulala, who has joined us today. She is the current co-convener for the Women's Network, and then you also have Kahu and Nia as well. And then you have a men's representative. So the men's representative was taken from a Pacific perspective, in terms of it's as normal for our men to gravitate towards each other and actually have those discussions about anything really, within a men's forum, and it's not normal for us males to sort of discuss things you wouldn't usually discuss around our females. And so it was about creating their space for our men, so that they are able to continue what is deemed normal in terms of cultural practice. And then in terms of the youth representative, so it was about pretty much getting our young people more involved in our networks, so that it's sort of attached to the succession planning kind of thinking, and so around trying to build up future leaders for our network, but also for the benefit of our Pacific membership. You'll also see at the bottom there that it has 2 PSA Pasefika organizers. So with all the positions there that I've just spoken about, so us as a Pasefika Network membership, we are able to nominate, vote, and endorse those people. In terms of the 2 PSA Pasefika organizers, so although there's something we have put forward, unfortunately us as a network aren't able to allocate that. That sits in the, what's it called? That sits in the operational side of PSA, and so that's appointed by our national secretaries. So if you scroll down to that second page, it talks about the different roles and responsibilities for those varied positions within the committee, but also talks about the election of those people. So if you have any questions during any of this, please make sure you use the Q&A function. Otherwise, if you're not too sure how to use that, then please use the chat. If you aren't able to use the chat, then please raise your hand if it's easier for you to talk to it rather than type it. Okay, cool. So in terms of if you scroll down to the fourth page, which is the last page of that same document, it will show you what types of members we were thinking at the time. And so at the time we were talking about those who are of Pacific descent. Are the only ones who can actually sit on the committee. The reason for that is because at times, as a representative from the committee, you are asked to provide a Pacific perspective, and so it's just making sure that it is our Pacific people who are actually providing those perspectives. So if everybody could go back to the PSA Pasefika Network website and then click on the Pasefika mission statement, which is the second part to the strategy workstream. So as I said in the first document, the strategy stream was broken up into two pieces of work, and so as I said previously, that it has expanded what we meant by the vision, what we meant by the growth, but also in terms of representing our Pacific workers and to empower our Pacific workers to use their voices constructively. One of the things that has actually occurred there that falls under the strategy stream, sorry, that we weren't currently thinking of at the time was having a Pacific national delegate. And so currently we have three lovely ladies who are our Pacific national delegates. So we have one from DIA who is Kahu Luciale Tahafe. We have one from Oranga Tamariki, and that is Timena Kiria, and then we have our most recent Pacific national delegate from MB, and that is Leah Rees. So Stella, if I can call upon you to talk about the Pacific national delegate role, please. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, so the intent of the Pacific national delegate was pretty much making sure that our Pacific people were represented at the national table. And so what that looked like previously is that, okay, because you are a brownie, cool, so we are going to make you the Pacific voice, and there was no sort of process around it, but also it didn't actually provide opportunities for our Pacific people. And so DIA were one of the first that were actually able to have that endorsed by their national delegates, to have that position implemented into their structure. And so what Kahu has been currently doing within DIA is currently engaging her Pacific membership around what some of the barriers are for our Pacific people to progress within their careers. But also having those conversations with our managers around how we can sort of work together with some of the feedback and information that she has been able to collate, especially at the National Fono last year, and I think it was around about August. The other purpose of the Pacific National Delegate is that so the State Service Commission rolled out the gender pay principles, and so to that it spoke about gender, and it was all about gender, but there was a lack of visibility in terms of the ethnic pay gap, and so that was the other push for the reason why we wanted to have that Pacific National Delegate, is because Pacific along with Māori currently rank at the bottom in terms of pay across the public service sector. And so excuse me, and so So it was about encouraging the kahu at the time to have those conversations with managers around what the ethnic pay gap looks like, making sure that that she is involved in those conversations so that she could actually advocate on behalf of the Pacific members that had voted and endorsed her in, but also in terms of the what's it called? In terms of the diversity and inclusion stuff, that SCC also rolled out, that she was able to engage in that stuff as well. Is there anything you would like to add to that, Brian or Seal?
I think you've covered most of it off. I think the important thing for our membership to realise, in particular with this national role, is that the key takeaway I find is that this is an opportunity for the Pasefika membership to put one of their own in, as opposed to what the common occurrence is, where someone else, usually in management or other type of leadership role, comes along and says, oh, we have a brown person that is currently doing a workplace delegate role. By virtue of them being brown, they can then take on the mantle of being the Pasefika voice. But this national delegate role is specifically from those who are Pasefika. They will drive that. And you might be thinking, so where do the issues come from? Well, they come from within the organisation itself, but on a national basis, they come from the Pasefika Committee within the PSA. That's the committee that is currently being formed to represent the views as they were in the snapshot that was taken in time. So it's an exciting time, and with Kahu being there, and plus Demina and Leah, we're starting to make an awareness and getting some traction in those areas.
Just further add to that, I organised Oranga Tamariki in Auckland for the whole of Tamaki Makaurau, and the Pacific Enterprises delegate role is a new role within the ministry, and Stella and the team and myself have been working alongside Timina to try and bring up her profile within the ministry itself, because we all know that a large portion of the ministry right throughout the country is Pasefika. So through that, we're trying to coach her in terms of providing voices, and leadership through Pacific members. Just trying to put together a model of engagement within the ministry itself that mirrors exactly what our Pasefika Network, talks about and stands for. So going forward, it's still new and it's in its infancy, but with the help of the team here and myself, I'm pretty sure we can get up to where we need it to be. Thanks.
Also, just a little bit. I mean, the creation of the role, we kind of, I guess, stole it from tangata whenua, from our runanga colleagues, and that where what they have in place as far as delegate structures go, and this is part of the PSA rules as well, is that they have Māori members who then vote in Māori delegates, and they're called their runanga delegates, and those runanga delegates then vote in a Māori enterprise delegate, and that's how they kind of look to escalate issues on behalf of Māori workers through their different delegate structures. But what we've done is that we've kind of skipped a bit of a step there, where we've just said, actually, we're just going to have a Pacific National Delegate role, because we've got this work that we want to pursue on behalf of Pacific workers. We're not going to look to have Pacific delegates specifically voted in by Pacific workers in workplace delegate roles. We're just going to say, you know, members of Oranga Tamariki, you decide who you want your Pacific national delegate to be, and you go through a process of voting that person in. And so we have Pacific workers who should be engaging with the Pacific national delegates to be able to talk about issues for Pacific workers only, so that Pacific national delegate can look to navigate their way through the organisation and be a voice at certain tables on behalf of our Pacific workers in the different organisations that they work in. We may end up with having, and so what's happened in MB is they have got workplace delegates who have been elected by members in their workplace who happen to be Pacific, and that, which is a real bonus for us because we can tap into that resource. And, you know, while our Pacific, those delegates are Pacific, they have a dual kind of voice, I guess, and they have the ability for Pacific workers to go and talk to them specifically about Pacific issues, where they can then escalate to Leah, who is their Pacific national delegate. So it's a bit, what is it called? Organic, I guess, but it was a way for us to kind of get something up and running, so that we can have, we can create a voice specifically for Pacific workers in some of the organisations and that. And so, you know, 3 out there at the moment across 20-something government departments. So a bit of work to do around that, but you know, the Kahu in DIA, she's doing some fantastic work in there around raising issues and that. And if we think about the issues that have been raised on behalf of members in DIA, they are relative to the gender pay work around recruitment barriers to progression within the organisations, that sort of stuff and that. So it's not hard to determine where do we take these issues and that, because it's kind of sitting in the same space, which is essentially discrimination. So yeah, it's really good to have that person have a bit of a focus on that work for Pacific workers.
Cool, thank you so much for that, team. So yes, that is pretty much the work that us as a strategy working party have been working on and working towards. We do have our network elections coming up, rolling out either today or tomorrow. So best of luck to anybody there that is currently in the Fono. That sense and their expressions of interest, and yeah, looking forward to seeing that newly elected committee. So if I can get everybody, no, sorry. So Tere, thank you for your question. As an MOJ member, I may come. Okay, so unfortunately within the Ministry of Justice, we don't have that position at the moment. It was raised to our national delegates committee, but unfortunately because there's a rule around in terms of changing the structure within our national delegates structure currently, that's why the national delegate role wasn't endorsed, but it is something that we are hoping to implement there come, I think it is February next year. But thank you for the question, Tere. In terms of the question around raising issues that may affect our Pacific people, well, within the Ministry of Justice. So yes, you currently have four national delegates that are of Pacific descent within Ministry of Justice, and that is myself. You have Lee Hokum from Hamilton District Court. You have Amanda Ryan up in Auckland, and then you have Rainey Luiana, who is based in Wellington. So you can send it through to any one of those four people, and we'll be able to hopefully be able to take that forward on behalf of our Pacific people.
One of the reasons why we're quite purposeful around having a Pacific National Delegate role is that we don't want it to be a role in name only, and that we want the delegate structures within MOJ, Oranga Tamariki, DIA, to actually acknowledge the role in that, because it's part of the delegate work that gets done, and that it's not an add-on in that. And so it's really important that actually the delegate structures that exist in MOJ have good discussions to ensure that actually the role is created and supported to be able to carry out those duties, and that it's not something that's just in name only. And so, you know, again, you know, we've got three that are supported by the national delegates and are supported by the organisation, because most organisations pay for the delegates to be able to participate in delegate activity and that. And so, you know, if we needed Kahu to be part of a Pasefika conversation within DIA or within PSA, it's not a problem. You know, it's not this kind of, oh, please, sir, can I have some more? And that it's not a problem because she's part of the structures that exist that represent workers in that workplace. So that's why it's important that we do it properly and in that way.
Cool. Thank you for that, Stella. So I'm just going to hand it over to Brian. So if everybody goes back onto the PSA Pasefika website and then click on the engagement paper, then Brian will be talking to you about that. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. So as you're as you're navigating your way through the documents, I think the other important takeaway from the last strategy discussion was around the structure of the Committee Pasefika going forward. And so when the current setup, which was through working parties, was pulled together, part of that developing ongoing work was to formalise a structure that is representative of the network. And so the voting of the new committee, which took effect 1st of April this year, has just happened. But and that's the structure that Walu had identified early on in his presentation. And we're coming to the tail end of that process where multiple votes or applications were received for positions. And so with the crisis that we're working our way through at the moment, the voting process, the election process, due to the fact that there were multiple applicants for some of those positions, will go to a vote through the membership. And so keep an eye out for that process, which will be unfolding very shortly. But this provides the basis and formal organisation of the network going forward. So now I'll just move on to the next discussion point, which is around the engagement. And you'll see that engagement is far-reaching, and it overlaps into and is woven into the other strategies, the one that you've heard so far and the one yet to come. But there are overlaps and complementary work going on in those areas. And the engagement is around reaching out to Pasefika members within our organisations, within regions and across the country. And as I said earlier on, the numbers and the data we have is that the two predominant areas are in Auckland and Wellington, and hence the work being led by the influences from those two areas. Now we have Hamilton who have come on board and have shown interest, and we also have not too far behind there Christchurch, so they're also part of the discussion in terms of the engagement and increasing the influence, a commonality in that interest. And so that's one of the key drivers in the engagement space. The strategy that was endorsed in June last year it evolves, but it is ongoing. And there's, as you'll see, the long list of initiatives and activities and some really great ideas that have come to the surface. Some of them have been delivered on and will continue to be delivered on. And I think the most recent ones would have been the collaborative effort with the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions and the Auckland Pasefika Festival, which unfortunately didn't proceed due to the COVID-19 environment. But also Creekfest in Wellington is one of those. But I guess the most important, one of the key ones was the SIVA that was held in Auckland in February, which had a good attendance of just over 100 people attended that from a cross section of organisations within the PSA. And so part of the engagement work is also developing a template for inductions that can be adopted by organisations to use. And again, this is allowing the voice and presence of Pasefika to be made known, but more to get that commonality, to get that common ground, so that our members don't feel isolated, and that they are unique in their way they act and they behave. Part of that also is to reach out to community objectives as well. There are a lot of community-based initiatives that occur around some great initiatives around health and well-being, and that's part of the engagement process as well. And so whilst our Pasefika members in the mighty Waikato have come on stream and shown an interest, there's definitely quite a bit of work to be done just to develop the voice and strengthen the voice and connectivity in the Waikato region. And we have a core group of committed individuals within the Hamilton area that have put their hands up and said, I'd like to do something about this. And how that eventuates is up for discussion. And this, whilst it's the second type of engagement, is the start. And I envisage some great things coming out of the Waikato region, and some great work that is ahead of us. But if you're wanting to do the work, if you want to become engaged in the work, then the work is there to be done. One of the key messages that came out of particularly the SIVA that was held in Auckland was the fact that membership said to us, we just need to be careful with some of the activities that we do, which has a fundraising element to it. And one of the initiatives was, as you'll see in the list, was having a bingo or a housey. And of course, there's strong ties to gambling in that, and the downside of gambling as it impacts on our Pasefika members and our wider communities. So, that's front of mind when we organise these things. With the SIVA in Auckland, there was obviously you go to a social event and there's alcohol involved. So we needed to be conscious of the fact that as we have these events, we're not only representing the PSA banner, but we're also representing our families. And the things we go to these activities is really to connect, engage, and have some fun. And our Pasefika people are great at having fun and enjoying each other's company. So it's a great framework to become involved in the engagement work. And if you're up for it, that's a great place to develop some of these initiatives in the Waikato area. Then we're certainly willing, if we've got the support in this area, to move the work along there. Thank you.
Cool, thank you for that, Brian. So remember, guys, if you have any questions about any of the stuff we are currently talking about, please use the Q&A function. Otherwise, if you don't know how to use that, then use the chat. If you're still not tech savvy for some of us, then there should be a raise hand function on the right hand side of your screen there that you can use, and I'll initiate you to talk. Cool. Sorry.
One other thing, Walu, please, if for the membership, if you could provide the email, the Pasefika email, if they've got any questions they want to send through as well, or inquiries.
Cool. Yep. Thank you for that, Brian. So if everybody could go back to the PSA Pasefika website and click on the gender pay principles, as well as the Pasefika Network principles, and I'll hand it over to Stella. Thank you.
Thanks, Wano. I also want to add with the engagement stuff, it's about raising our profile. It's about, creating some activities that have our Pacific people engage in and raising our profile, so that our Pacific members know that we're out there and that we want to be effective on behalf of Pacific workers. The other bits of work that have been worked on by Jennifer Lola and Catalina Sinisi is firstly the gender pay principles. So the gender pay principles were put out by the State Services Commission, and it was a piece of work that was done in conjunction with the Ministry of Women's Affairs and other government departments, and it talks about, barriers for women to participate in the workforce. And it looked at some 5 key areas. But within those pay principles, with consideration to the fact that Pacific people are so lowly paid, there wasn't much of a Pacific lens in those principles and so Jennifer and Catalina worked really hard to develop that Pacific lens, and I guess that's where the creation of the thinking around, actually this is a bit of a work program and this is something that we need to have a focus on. How do we go about doing it? Well, we put a Pacific National Delegate, we create a Pacific National Delegate role in that. And so it's all kind of come around in that way. And so instead of creating a role where we then say to people, well, you decide what it is that you're going to do, we created a role where the network was telling them, we've identified a piece of work that's really important for Pacific workers and will improve the lives of Pacific workers around the gender pay principles. We've done the work, so Catalina and Jennifer had done the work to put a bit of a Pacific lens on that. We now want you to go away and talk within your organisations about how we progress the ethnic pay gap within your organisations. And so that's the work that the likes of Timina and Leah need to become involved in, but Kahu has become involved in, and so she kind of taps into conversations within the within her government department around things like the gender pay gap, development of action plans, ensuring that actually the ethnic pay gap has been picked up in that conversation, diversity and inclusion conversations that are going on within the organisation, and anything else that kind of touches on Pacific workers being disadvantaged. And so, yeah, so the gender pay principles is kind of, that's been created as the ability to kind of have a starting point for our Pacific national delegates. The principles, the Pasefika principles that were developed align with, and again, we're not about reinventing the wheel. If something already exists in that, let's just Pacificify it. And so we took the ngā kaupapa principles from our runanga, and you know, we can so relate to those principles, and that they are shared principles with Pasefika people, and so we took those principles and we put a Pacific lens on those. And so the next step around that is taking them and thinking, if you look at your collective agreements, how do those principles reflect within your collective agreements? And if they don't, what do they look like from a Pasefika perspective? And how do our Pasefika members become involved in that conversation so that they're putting them up as claims through bargaining? And that so that there is something quite specific in your employment agreements for Pacific workers and Pacific workers issues to be able to address Pacific workers issues. So recently, with our bargaining at DIA, Kahu had worked with our Pacific members around issues around things like, caring for elderly, and what does that mean for Pacifica people, and what does that mean within a collective agreement context, and that around the provision of leave or the ability to be a bit more discretionary around that. We always have the issue around bereavement, which is, from one culture to another, even Palangi cultures, some of them have to go overseas and that, but more specifically, we're talking about Pacific workers, and for some people, they have titles, they have responsibilities, and that. So what does that look like within the context of an employment agreement and that kind of contractual space in that? And so those principles are there to be looked at when you're going through that kind of bargaining space to say, oh, actually, if I pick up my collective agreement and I have a look at it, the generic Pākehā clauses don't quite hit the mark in that. So from a Pasifika perspective, this is what it could look like, and I'd like to put it forward as a claim to be part of the bargaining process. So that's, so the gender pay principles, the Pasifika principles, and that, they're both about enhancing the working lives of Pasifika workers across our PSA whānau.
Cool, thanks heaps for that, Stella. So yeah, that's there's pretty much the work we have been working on. Those are the key streams we have been engaging in. But what I'm going to do, because there was such a small group of you, is that I'm going to now enable you all to talk. And so if you do have a question or would like to raise anything and have a conversation about it, now is the time. And lucky last, there you go. So just as long as everybody uses their mute function, that will be fine. So Ivy, if you could go first, and then we'll come to Mercedes and then Angie.
Are we just testing? Or I don't have any questions, sorry.
Oh, sorry. So after we have presented you guys what we have been doing as a network, how do you guys feel based on the update we have provided you guys? Cool, I'll take silence as yep.
Was there anything in here that was useful to you?
Oh, kia ora, it's Tere Afi here. Big ups to you guys, to all of you, for the hard work you've put into these documents. I mean, I personally myself, I can see there's a lot there that we can certainly work with. For me personally, I think for Waikato, it's about building our own network, because I mean, as we know, this is only the second type of gathering we've had, and our first one being last year. So for me, I'd like to see who our Pacific members are here in Hamilton. As such, I used to know them when I was in WINS, but I've moved on to other agencies since, and it's sort of having to getting back into the Pasifika network again, because I've been out of it for so long. And even my MOJ colleagues, I don't know all my Pasifika members there, so I'm keen for a face-to-face of whatever that's going to look like, whether it be
Absolutely.
Zoom or whatever. I'm keen. With someone to organise it or whatever. That's me.
Well, thank you for that, Teddy.
Kia ora, everyone.
Kia
It's
ora.
Karina
Kia
here.
ora.
Hi. I was interested
Hello,
in
Karina.
us talking about. Hey, everyone. I was interested to hear that you're trying to develop a Waikato area because I've recently transferred into the Waikato DHB sector.
Cool.
So it would be keen to know my other colleagues, so kia ora tere,
Kia ora, Karina.
good to hook up and to see how we could grow
Right.
the Pacific Network. And I enjoyed what you were saying about bargaining, Stella. I think that is one of the key areas where we're going to get our Pacific perspective across. I had a colleague that was from the dental technicians, Samoan nurse, and she helped not only to gain a better understanding of what bargaining and the policies meant, but she was able to take it back to her team and to her group of Pacific peoples in the DHB. So it's a huge door for our Pacific people to get into. How it's going to be introduced across, I'm assuming that we can get our organisers in those sectors to be aware that we're wanting a Pacific voice in those bargaining arenas.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, what I could do from this point in Waikato, I'm assuming we could try to build on the equity. I know we've got a lot of work with the gender pay gaps and a lot of Pacific people working as support workers in the Waikato region.
Yeah, a lot of Pacific people in those traditional, transactional, low-paid jobs.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to change that. But to change that, it's not just us.
Yeah.
Systems that exist that discriminate and make it difficult for us.
Okay, I'm going to call out one of my lovely national delegates. So, Lee, what have you found helpful in terms of this update for the Pasefika Network?
Again, thank you for all the work that you've done as well. But what I found really interesting was Stella's talk about the issues that come up and how to escalate that. Not only reading the principles against our collective, but then escalating those claims and making them actually claims for bargaining. The history for me is that it's in MOJ we probably have about like 6 Pasefika members, and I touched base with them recently, often, sorry, just about anyone's on the lens that are aware of the network, and I am kind of like the mouthpiece for the ones that work at the Hamilton site. But yeah, no, it's interesting to see all the work that's gone in. But yeah, again, going with Siri and Karina's one as well, just to strengthen the network, become more visible, and raise our profile. Things to do, but yeah, and I just thought to start with my workplace, go out there, strengthen our relationships and our bonds and that, and then reach out across the network. But if there's another model that we can use, and happy to help out cross sector anyway.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks for that, Lee.
If I could just add on to that, talofa lava everyone, my name is Angie and I'm a case manager for MSD based in Te Awamutu.
Oh, talofa.
Malo lava.
TA.
Yeah, so
Angie.
this is my first PSA Pasefika meeting, and can I just say you guys have like set an awesome foundation, and I'm so passionate and so inspired by what you guys have shared today. So again, like, yes, really believe that we need to come together, all government organisations and our Pacific people need to be known that we are here in Waikato, and our perspective is so needed in all the decisions that are made across our workplaces. So like I have just recently started a Pasefika community with an MSD. So there was previously one, but then that died out, and now it's started up again. So we've got over 20 people participating, and we're leading Pasefika, strengthening our understanding and knowledge about Pacific peoples and communities so that we can apply it to our jobs and better help our clients. So linking in with you guys is just going to make our initiative grow bigger and better. So I just love the work that you guys are doing. And if you need a MSD Connect, there's heaps of us here. Just let us know. We'll be there. So love it. We're on board. Yeah, but thank you so much, yeah, for being our leaders and for setting something up for us to follow. Yeah.
Oh, thanks heaps for that, Angie. In terms of the Hamilton branch for work and income, you do have one of the young boys there. His name is Faremo. So
That's my husband.
oh, is it? Oh,
Yes.
yes. So him
Small world.
and a couple of the other girls from ACC were the people we were trying to connect into for Hamilton. I do know that across MSD, they're slowly starting to pick this up and are trying to make it national in terms of creating that Pacific
Yeah.
network nationally rather than just within the small pockets.
Mm.
So we currently have a working party member that is currently sitting on the committee that works out of national office. So what I'll do is I'll get her to connect in with you, so that you are able to start joining up the dots within MSD, and then hopefully as a group today you are able to start doing the cross sector networking and start growing Hamilton.
Yeah, love it. Thank you.
Yeah, hey Angie, it's Seal here. Tarofa lava maros before. Dwayne, and who's another colleague organizer of ours, and some of our national delegates like Brian and also Jennifer, we came down towards the end of last year to get a feel for what it would be like to have an after work meeting at the PSA office down there in Hamilton.
Yeah.
There was a feel for, there was talk about more of a Pasifika presence within the region itself, like out of our plenty. But there was also one lady there who was from immigration who said that there was so much Pasifika in her work site, that didn't know that there was a Pasifika network. And I think just sort of touching or tapping into what you guys have been given today, I think is proof in the pie that there's a need for a Pasifika presence in all government places down there. Because like you said, it's almost forgotten.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's we can go leaps and bounds going forward with the strategies that have been sort of laid out, but also tapping into the wider delegate team, the Pasifika network itself, and the organisers. So yeah, thank you for that.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
We are definitely hoping that MSD will be the next cab off the rank with regards to the national delegate role.
Agree. I definitely agree with you, sister.
Yeah, they were all for it when Catalina and I went and presented and said, hey, here's the work program. Now, you don't need to create anything. You just pick someone and get on with it.
So even though these roles only exist within the public service, public service sector, it doesn't stop anybody else there that comes from DHB, CPS, local governments, and I'm missing someone, state sector. If you are wanting to start pushing this within your agencies or NGOs, yeah, it's just that the public service sector has just kicked it off, and so yeah, we do encourage you to start pushing that, especially within the DHB and CPS sector where most of our Pacific people are in terms of employment.
Can I also add into this discussion, and thanks for the very positive feedback from the members thus far. And hello, Karina, great to see that you've made a move to the mighty Waikato. I know that the membership will benefit from your skills and know-how and the work that you've been exposed to the Pasefika committee work thus far. But I would like to, as Seal alluded to, the meeting we had towards the tail end of last year, the attendance was quite low, but we knew that wasn't a good representation of the number of members in the area. So today was an opportunity, and in actual fact, we have tripled the attendance through this conference call compared to those that came to the last engagement meeting which we had, which was after work on a Friday. And so with the enthusiasm that's come through from this group, it allows us to build. And these strategies that have been presented upon and talked to today, they're the starting points. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
But to enable it to gain traction, then we need good people on the ground that share the vision. And you guys, by virtue of coming today and offering your comments and feedback, are certainly saying to me, I'm wanting to give it a go and I'm wanting to put my hands up. Now we know we all operate very busy lives, but we certainly committed to making this happen in Waikato, and with two strong organisers in Auckland, and Dwayne and Seal, and there's members of the current committee who have committed to travelling down, and Jennifer was one of those who's on this call at the moment, to come down and certainly assist in building that foundation. The work will come or furthering the work will come from you guys, and so we have a list of those who have responded to this conference call. That's now our building block going forward. And if you're not hearing anything, please send an email and say, "Come on, guys! We had this this conference call. We talked a few things, and what's happening?" Because we want to do something, and that's very clear from the messaging coming back from your comments. So, let's look forward. Let's build that foundation, and let's escalate the work. Because it will just benefit, our communities, but it will also benefit our country. So, we'll go away from these series of meetings, and we'll start putting in place the next face-to-face when the current environment allows us to do that.
Awesome.
Could I just add, it's Christina here. I work for Inland Revenue in Hamilton. So I have to say, this is the first real sense of knowing about the Pasefika Network within PSA. So one thing I did wonder about is the profile of what everyone is doing and the messaging that's coming out to members. So this is the first time I've really seen anything to encourage me to engage. And I don't know if there is a contact, if there is a delegate or someone working within inland revenue that could help get that message out within the organisation, but collaboratively across the agencies, in terms of trying to get trying to get a higher attendance at a meeting that you're holding within Hamilton. I just wondered about whether that's part, how we can go about trying to develop that profile within the Waikato.
Yes, no, that is a good question, Christina, and thank you for asking that. So, in terms of IRD, I was just trying to find the email while you were talking, but you do have a national delegate within IRD that we have been talking to, but also me and Stella went and presented to the IRD national delegates around what PSA Pasefika are currently doing, but also in terms of the gender pay stuff and the ethnic pay. But in terms of raising visibility within Hamilton, yeah, no, we are definitely open to all of your ideas around how we can make that happen, but also around how we can keep on raising visibility just in general, because I know that PSA send out a whole lot of emails and it tends to get lost in terms of some of the newsletters we're sending out, in terms of some of the emails, but then in saying that people's email addresses change, and so yeah, it's around how are we able to continue to keep that visibility up. So yeah, if you have any ideas, or if anybody in the Fono today has any ideas, we are happy to hear them and try and work them out.
Thank you. One of the other things I'd like to say too is that what I'd like to see is some celebration of, I know there are members who we often talk about the difficulties, but what I seldom see is celebrations of network members who are succeeding or doing well, or that kind of thing. And I guess that exists within all organisations. It's easy to talk about the downsides, but I'd really love to see some some stories, or hear some tales of people that are actually are achieving highly or doing well, and how they've got there, and what they've done, what networks they've relied on, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that was an option.
Yeah. Those stories exist. There's some really great
stories.
Yeah. Recently had someone who went to a conference with Barack Obama as a keynote speaker, and that was through the ability to access a fund that was specifically for PSA members only, and you have that fund in IRD as well. So, there are all sorts of great stories out there. It's about pulling them together and kind of having a central repository for them.
Yeah.
Did we highlight any of that stuff while on any of our?
No, so it was supposed to come out in the newsletter there that it was supposed to be released in April, but because of COVID, we ended up putting it on hold. But there is about 3 or 4 stories that you're talking about that will be included in the newsletter. So it's good to know that we are thinking alike, we are on the same track in terms of what it is you guys want to see. So we are hoping to get that newsletter out either by the end of this month, otherwise early next month latest.
Just before we bring our called to a close. The last time we were there, team in Hamilton, there was feedback that if we were to do another, it would be probably during the day. And what we agreed to was in the early afternoon, then overlapping into in the later part of the afternoon. So there was a bit of both in terms of work time and then after work. But that was the feedback we got last time we were there from the members that are online at the moment. What are you guys thinking? Midweek. If you could have a think about that and send your thoughts through, or even just make it known now what would be ideally placed to have that face-to-face engagement when we're able to in the current in the environment we're moving to.
Sorry, Brian, what exactly was the question?
So the last time the team was down there towards the tail end of last year, the feedback was when we have another one was to try and have it in the afternoon, not so much outside of work, but in overlapping. So part of it, late in the afternoon, and then a little bit of time after work, and a day that would ideally suit, because there was only a small group of people that were at that last meeting. So it's just trying to get a feel for when we're able to have our next face-to-face, what would suit, what would work for you guys.
Okay. I think that last time at the end of last year, I think I kind of just was newly appointed the Pasefika delegate in MBIE office. So I think, yeah, I kind of missed that one just. But in saying that, my name's Mercedes and I'm the Pasefika delegate, and I've been the only one for a bit now, since towards last year in the MBIE office. I think from my perspective as the Pasefika delegate here in Hamilton, I kind of look at more role-specific assistance in terms of PSA. I like to assist Pasefika members with certain like expectations, understanding of expectations in the role. Also helping them if they, because we regularly meet with managers, I let them know, look, if they want me to come with them into these meetings, especially if it's to do with like things like pay progressions or just, workload in general. There may be some things that they may not understand or need another perspective on. I try and help and assist in those areas. I often think that maybe the interview stage would be a help as well. Pasefika members applying for these types of roles, just so that they can get a better understanding, because not all the questions are really kind of relevant to the mindset of Pasefika people. And I feel as though maybe sometimes they might miss out on opportunities because of that in the beginning.
Mercedes, the wider kind of lens on that sits in the gender pay conversation, because the gender pay thing is not just about money, right? It's about systems that exist within organisations that create barriers for people to progress.
Okay, yep.
And so you should be talking to Leah about these sorts of things, because
I do. I talk to her often, yeah.
So she's sitting in those conversations where she should be saying these very things around barriers for Pacific workers. That if the job description was framed up differently, you would attract more Pacific workers to apply for those roles.
Yeah.
That's where, that's kind of like the issue. Where do you then find the space to push that issue into a conversation that will enable outcomes across the organisation for Pacific
Yeah.
workers.
Yeah,
So
'cause
that's
we
not,
have,
so what you raised is exactly the same thing that was raised at DIA around barriers to progression for Pacific workers. The job description, the jargon, the shoulder tapping, the lack of secondment opportunities, the assumption that if a Pacific person isn't making an application, they are not interested, the assumption that a Pacific person can't lead, yet they can lead youth in church, all that stuff is gender pay principles, barriers to progression, barriers to accessing those roles that are non-transactional.
yeah.
And that's where you navigate your way towards Leah around what your members are saying, because that's where the conversation sits.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I'm also seeing a lot of, transitioning from other government departments into immigration and Pasifika people. Like there was an office, I think it was an MSD office that closed down, and some Pasifika moved from that role, but they were only doing specific things in that role into immigration role, and now they have expectations and things like decisions to make, and there's a little bit of not a lot of understanding in those areas of how to actually apply the previous sort of skills learned in the last role into this role, and there's a bit of I don't know, misunderstanding, I think, going on in that area as well.
Mercedes and Stella, could I just add to that conversation? Mercedes, I applaud you bringing up interviews and trying to get behind applicants and things in terms of meetings and particularly job issues and applications. One of the things I have seen in my 17 years with IRD is one of the barriers for Pasifika is an ingrained humbleness, if that's the right words to use. And I find myself even, I'm not a transactional worker. I work for with an audit as part of inland revenue. And one of the things I really struggle with is when I am talking about my successes, I tend to use the word we.
Yeah.
We did this, or we as a team did this, or we, and I think what sits behind that is the fact that I was brought up to be humble, to not not try and be too smart or oversell yourself, and I think that holds can hold Pasifika back in interviews. It's certainly one of the feedbacks I got very early on in my career is, when you're interviewing, you need to be able to sell yourself, promote yourself, tell them why you are the best person for that role. And I do believe that the community needs some assistance in the interview process. So yeah, while there are barriers, I also believe there's a role to be played in upskilling people in the ability to push themselves, to put themselves out there, to push for the roles, and to be able to confidently say, that they are the best person for the roles.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because we also have a senior immigration role that's quite new, and it's come off the pay progression as well. But there are certain sort of workloads and expectations that need to be met in order to actually progress in that type of role. And I think I spent quite a bit of time actually explaining what the process was at the time, in order to actually progress into that type of role. But then it also made me realize that the Pasefika that I was speaking to didn't really actually understand 100% of the role they were currently in. So I had to actually go backwards and explain sort of how their own role really worked in order to progress into the new senior role. So I identified in that moment that during the interview process, it's not really known to Pasefika exactly how the role operates.
So you as a Pacific person were able to pick up on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Able to kind of communicate that differently, and I think there needs to be a balance there. And there's a paper that's been done by Auckland Council called the Southern Initiative that talks about assumptions around Pacific behaviours and how those assumptions are received by non-Pacific, and then they make assumptions. They assume that they either don't get it and can't be bothered. But in fact, what's happening is that they are humble, or there is something culturally going on for them that the non-Pacific person doesn't understand. And so it's getting that balance around, yes, we need to put ourselves forward and be more confident with who we are and what we can achieve, but we also need to have non-Pacific understand that from a certain culture, these are our beliefs and these are our behaviours that we've been brought up with as well. Don't interpret that as being non-interested or apathy. You know, so trying to figure out that balance.
Yeah, definitely. We need to be able to adapt to Pasifika's people's mindset, especially with the words that we use. You know, obviously, being a government department, you know, even during training, there's some really elaborate, you know, English words being used to actually describe very important structures and foundation of workloads, and Pasefika don't always identify that elaborate word with what they know. So, and then they can miss out or misunderstand a very important situation to do with their workload and what they need to produce. And it's
as simple as using a different word that can have a completely different response.
Yeah, absolutely. That way they can really understand, okay, I know what's expected of me and how I can actually do my job and build on that and, you know, upskill and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that it kind of keeps them quite at a certain level, trying to improve, but still not understanding.
Yeah. So we need to, who are the people that are writing these things? They could be managers and that, but you know, we need to figure out, okay, so how do we affect change around that? Do we go directly to the people that are writing these things and have these conversations? Or is there a certain style that exists within the organisation that is purposeful around confusing job descriptions? You know, like
I think there's just a level of expectation of understanding coming into this type of role, like visa processing, for example, and for some reason it's just expected that you're going to know how to create this assessment, you're going to know how to investigate certain things, and these programs that they provide you in the training, it's just you're just expected to understand, basically. But Pasefika people, they understand, they just don't understand the words that are being used to describe certain processes.
Definitely. Yes, so thank you for sharing sharing with us Mercedes, around some of the things that you're currently facing, and a lot of us probably resonate with what it is that you are currently talking about, and so it'd be good to see how all of us have gone in that space, because I know that it's not just just our people within MB there that actually have their issue happening. I do know that it is currently happening within MOJ further down south. Yeah, but I'm just I'm mindful of the time, and so yeah, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out today to come to this fono. Please do have a have a read of the documents up on the website. If you do have any further questions or feedback, then please do not hesitate to email psa.pasefika@psa.org.nz. Otherwise, we do have a Facebook page called PSA Pasefika, and then we also have a Twitter account. Yeah, I'm not really a Twitter person, but yeah, there's a Twitter account there called PSA Pasefika as well. Just looking at the Q&A question from Angie. Okay, yes. So in terms of your question, Angie. So unfortunately, we only have the Pasifika national delegates, and we only have it at the national level. In terms of anything else that is formed in terms of a structure underneath, we haven't currently looked at that because it is something new that has been created, as Stella said, out of MB. But if it is something that the MSD is wanting to look at, there would have to be normal delegates who just happen to be Pacific, who are able to feed into the Pacific national delegate for MSD. But yeah, guys, if you need any clarity around any of that, if you're wanting to push it within your agencies, please do not hesitate to email. Otherwise, you can call the general PSA number, which is 0508 367 772, and ask for our Stella, and she'll be able to engage with your organizer, but also guide you further with that. Otherwise, thank you so much, team, and may you have a great day. And look forward to meeting you all face to face on one day. So just before everybody leaves, if I can get Brian to close us off in prayer, please.
Our Father in heaven, as we come to the conclusion of our Zoom conference call today, we're grateful for being able to engage with the Pasifika members within the Hamilton Waikato region. Grateful for the discussions that we've been able to have and to be able to share this information. We ask that the members in attendance, that they be blessed through the work that they do, that they'll be able to share this information with their colleagues and their friends and families to enable the things that have been discussed today to gain traction within their respective areas. We're grateful for the leadership which has been shown and for the support provided. Grateful for the technology that allows us to continue to communicate, to further this work as we go about our busy and active lives. We're grateful for that we express our gratitude to thee and recognise the hand of the Saviour in each of our lives. It's our prayer at this time as we close our meeting in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, team. Have a good day.